Welcome to the Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. That's just enough to endure, right? I'm George Cummings. I'm George Cummings, and you are, madam?
Now that my mic is on, I'm T-Cats.
They're all on. Oh, your mic is up, though. That's how that works. I'm
strange.
a professional. I'm a trained professional, believe it or not.
You've been putting in a lot of hours, George. I know.
Oh, it's nothing. Very excited today, going straight in. First of all, congratulations on being official now.
Yes, I am an official employee. So
Afternoon, your afternoon tea, as it were.
Yes.
The afternoon DJ.
But we'll have tealess Tuesdays and Thursdays for a minute till I get my life together.
No worries. But moving on a little bit.
There's more exting news than that, George.
Even more exciting than former afternoon DJ Jason Endicott being in the house as well. But even more exciting than that, for those of us who have grown up in that era. We might have remembered this. I'm going to go backwards.
I think everybody who's just ever grown up, George, because I have a 17-year-old at home who looked at her picture and went, "Well, I know who that is."
And there was someone.
It's long enduring.
Someone else on the KHTS Facebook page said, "My kids watch the show. Can I bring them down?"
So if you're growing up, this show is a part of your wiring,
constant rerun,
and in a really good way.
It's like Twinkies; they'll just never go bad.
And what show are we talking about?
Brady Bunch.
It's a wonderful, wonderful show.
Well, we have actress and teacher and activist, mother and Santa Clarita resident, artist, Susan Olsen here with
Cue the audience.
us this morning. Oh, I just cued the football elements. Cue the audience.
It's a little audience, but they're very enthusiastic.
Welcome to the Friday Matinee.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And I've never had a radio station do the interstitial Brady music. I like that. That's kind of cool.
It's all there is someone went to great pains, obviously a diehard fan,
and it's all the Brady music.
It's different little interstitial stuff.
I like that because I really don't like the theme song because I'm really sick of it.
Yeah, I can imagine.
But I always thought it would be a good idea to put the interstitial music of different TV shows, on CDs, so you could.
You could have it like an intro, just cue yourself up to walk into
Right, you go through live.
It's the underscoring to your own life.
Yeah, and I spent a week one time with cartoon music. And it was really like an altered state of reality.
Right? All of a sudden, there's this whole emotional thing that happens in cartoon music. It really is a great art.
Yeah, and I it made me do housework, which is something I kind of never do. But I put on the Looney Tunes, and it's like, I feel like being industrious.
Of course. And there's like, it's amazing though. But yeah, these are the little bits and pieces. So it's nothing too annoying for you, I hope. But it's always, no, it's not. I meant to ask you maybe a little before the 10 seconds before we went live on the air, because that might have been a little difficult for me to switch out, although I could have done it. But welcome to the Friday Matinee. So excited to have you here. And we had Andrea Vibe on, was it last week? It was last week.
Yeah,
time flies and we're having fun. And I was trying to figure out a way to go, I wonder how I can ask her if Susan can be on the show, because that would be really cool, but I don't want to bug her, And then she sends me a message going, Susan would like to be on there. Just like, wow, that's totally cool.
And you know what I told George? I was saying that when looking through your profile and the things you do and the things you're involved in, you can tell that just instinctively you're a really nice person. So I love that you didn't just go, absolutely.
That's why I'm not very successful.
Yeah, we did talk about how you got to be, got to be meaner, or
that's right.
Have tragedies.
But you've obviously kind of a lifetime in the limelight. Starting
How
off
old
with
were you when you started in business?
14 months. But I retired. I retired as a toddler. But against my will, it's a very long story that I won't bore you with.
Now, were you like a Gerber baby, or mom took
Downy
you?
fabric softener.
Okay,
my diapers are so soft.
You were super cute. You're cute now, but you were super cute when you were little.
All four of the kids in my family were super cute, and all four of us got discovered.
Nice.
Really by accident.
The old Hollywood way.
Yeah. My brother, Larry, who was 24 years old when I was born, just 5 years old, standing with my mom on a street corner, and an agent drove up, got out of the car, handed them her card, and said, please take this boy to this audition at Fox Studios. And my dad said, no way. I do not want my child to have anything to do with that stupid, horrible business.
Now, was it because he had experience, or
no? My dad is a funny. My dad was very unusual. He's the kind of guy you could take him to a movie, and during the sad parts, he'd start laughing because he just thought movies and theatrics and drama, as he put it, was just so ridiculous and so stupid. So it was very rare that he ever liked a movie. And he just thought that the whole industry was dumb, and he's like, no, that's an unnatural thing for kids to do. And my mom said, oh, come on, I just want to see the inside of a studio. There's no way he has a chance at it. And the kid walked home with the script.
Wow.
Yeah.
By the way, if you're listening from Farmington, New Mexico, it does not work that way.
No, it so does not work that way.
No, not anymore. But all four of us kids, one by one, got discovered. And so I was sort of discovered just to do commercials. And then my sister was 8 years old, and my brothers had gotten out of the business. The next brother was in the movie The Man Who Knew Too Much.
Wow.
Went to England and Marrakesh.
Stewart.
Yep.
Okay.
And he was the first person to record the song Que Sera Sera.
Wait, he wasn't the son, was he?
Yes, he was.
Wow.
Yeah,
Nice.
yeah.
But
Dance with Doris Day.
Holy moly.
So it's like a line of Hollywood royalty when you're with that level.
It
all kind of
almost,
came through. That's really fabulous.
It is, because like my mother's stories, I always wanted her to write a book. And she'd say, yeah, I'll get around to it. She'd start to, and then she'd, kind of give up on it. But, I mean, she had some great stories. Things like she demanded a formal apology from Alfred Hitchcock.
Wow.
Which was one of the dumbest things she ever did, because then he patronized her from then on.
Susan,
and made her feel like a fool.
You have your mom's stories.
Yeah, I do.
Your turn.
Well, I know. I was going to put that into my memoirs someday. I can't sell my memoirs, though.
Oh, really?
Nobody wants them because I don't have any sad tales to tell.
You know what? And we talked about that before, and we'll talk about it in the next break, how we just have to get past that. It's time for the good stories. It's time for the great things. And I do believe there's an audience, so you're going to get to tell those stories. Some today, maybe.
Outstanding. We do have to take a break. We're here on the Friday Matinee with our guest, Susan Olsen. So very excited. So we will be right back after this. This is your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I feel like I should walk in and say pork chops and applesauce or something. This is Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. You are
T-Cats.
I'm George Cummings. And we are here with Susan Olsen, actress, author yet?
Multi-hyphen.
I contributed to Love to Love You Brady's, which is a book about the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, which was voted the 4th worst show in television history by TV Guide.
I was going to get to that one eventually, because I was like 12 years old when that hit, and all of you girls went totally gorgeous in it as a 12-year-old. Not that you all weren't, but you were
you
grown
went
up
from
gorgeous.
cute to beautiful.
And it was like, and so, but it really was a kind of a very 70s show, interestingly enough.
You know what I loved about it? Because even though it was very fun and, with the pop colors.
I meant to say Susan Olsen, by the way. Did I say Susan Olsen?
You did.
Okay.
Yeah.
They say memory is the second thing to go.
Well, and what's the first? I don't know. But the show, I loved that it was one of the first real images into a household that had a nuclear family.
Now, are we talking about
the
Variety Hour?
Yeah,
or the original show?
Going back to I never separated.
Okay.
I never in my mind could separate any of you, really, from the Brady Hour and the show. And it was all like one big pot of stew in my head. But I loved the relatability that was there. And we were talking about you being little and, the speech impediment. But you were so cute. You wanted to hug you. I felt like there was a relatability that maybe we hadn't had up to that point. Because I could not, when I saw like reruns of Beaver the Cleaver, Beaver whatever.
It sounds like a horror movie.
Actually, I think that's the reaction that a lot of kids had, and plus,
and I think that's why it's long lasting.
Well, and for the people that only knew it in syndication, like the girls would start out with Cindy, then they could relate to Jan, then Marcia, and then finally, Carol Brady. Kind of raised generations that way. And we were, even though it seems so goody two shoes now, at the time we were the first family show that had kids that fought.
Oh yeah,
and that was really controversial. But at least it was normal and natural, and I think that's another thing that the kids could relate to. And the shows really were centered around the kids and didn't try to make the kids look stupid.
And how many kids are in your own family, your actual
4.
family? So did you ever see, like, storyline wise, and it's probably a goofy question asked, but where it's like, oh yeah, that happened in my house, or that would never happen in my house, or it wouldn't end this way? Was there for you some of the stories where you went, yeah?
I don't know. You know, my family, my oldest brother was 24 when I was born, and I was born an aunt. And the next brother was
That's a lot of responsibility
15.
for a baby.
Yeah, and then my sister was only 5 years older than me. But you know, like my oldest brother was out of the house, obviously, and the 15-year-old, you know, there was enough of an age gap that he thought I was cute.
So then you kind of got your family on the show.
I did, but you know, like I have to say, in all honesty, I preferred my family. I just thought my family was so much cooler.
I think that's healthy.
Yeah. My family was a little more like the Addams family. We were a little weird, a little bit eccentric, and you know, the Brady Bunch was like, you know, this white bread. I mean, I'm sure I benefited from having that environment as well.
You were the photo negative of Wednesday with the braids.
Exactly, yeah. But, you know, I always wanted to be Wednesday.
Nice.
Yes, if I could have sawed the head off of Kitty Carryall, I would have done it.
Oh, that's the quote of the day. I love that. But yeah, moving into that, and I was thinking this morning, and you really, the franchise itself has hit all media, because you had, of course, the TV show, you had the cartoon, the Saturday morning cartoon, you had the variety show, you had several incarnations of bringing back the TV show in several stages. You even had a fake Cindy for
Jennifer Runyon.
And then you know, you had the movie, which obviously wasn't based on the actual family, but even still, I mean, and now you have a convention that they're trying to plan put together.
Yeah, in August.
Wow.
Now what kind of things would happen at the convention?
I'm not all that sure. You know,
I mean, outside of photo ops and panels, I mean, that could be really fun.
And panels, and various guest stars that have been there. Oh God, no!
Recreate any of that?
No, Chris Knight and I will hold very firmly to the line that we don't sing.
I will let you know that in our breaks and coming back, I did not include any of those songs for you. Just so
thank you so much.
I told Georgie you might poke him if he doesn't.
They get stuck in my head, and then for the next 72 hours, by Sunday, I'm going to want to rip my ears out through my brain, you know, somehow.
Yeah, earworms.
Now, you're having a totally different experience from the flip side of this, is that you're working with kids now who want to be in Hollywood.
Yeah, I do. You know, it's so funny because somebody asked me if I wanted to teach kids, and I thought, oh, no. You know, kid actors.
Yeah, W.C. Fields, never animals or kids, right?
Well, I mean, there is something kind of icky about putting kids in show business.
It's unnatural. It's an unnatural. But you have some kids who are born little performers.
There you go. There you go.
Clowns.
Exactly, and it would have been unnatural for me to not do it. I mean, it would have. I firmly believe that it would have been cruel to not let me do my job. And I, you know, now that I've been teaching for a little while, I can spot the kid actors. And my bottom line with the classes is I think that learning how to act, the elements of acting are entirely positive, because these kids end up just like ordering in a restaurant with more conviction, and they can carry themselves.
There's a confidence.
Prouder. Yes, there's confidence. They understand their emotions better, and so I think it's just an all around good thing. When it comes to getting them into the business, I think that every kid in the world, if they want it, should have that one thing they did when they were a kid that a loved one, when they're an adult, can tease them about and show on video.
That's good. Yeah, we all have that
15
moment.
15 minutes. And plus, I think that if a kid can handle it, and some of these kids, they're so adult. You know, they're so capable, and they want a job. And if they can handle it, then by all means, it's only going to use those talents that they have. The horror stories that you hear about, 9 out of 10, it's the parents.
Right.
And is that what you feel was your guiding grace?
Absolutely. And all of us. And then we all had each other. And it was also a very, very kid-friendly set. Yeah. It was not like... like Gary Coleman. He needs dialysis. Well, wait, after the scene is over.
One more take. Let's check the gate first. We are speaking with Susan Olsen on Friday Matinee. Susan Olsen, you probably might recognize from a TV show that's still in syndication called The Brady Bunch. So you may want to stick around for the next act. I do want to talk more about kids because I've been in that situation where I've directed kids and I've taught kids acting, and that would be a good conversation to have about the do's and don'ts and things like that, especially from a parental perspective. But we'll be right back after this, the Friday Matinee. Finish my thought on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. I love that. This is your Friday Matinee on the hometown station.
We're both looking at you weird now, George.
I love that, though. These little interstitial things. It's like coming back into the scene,
And you recognize that as Greg's smooth music. He's got a girl.
Yeah. Nice.
We are speaking with Susan Olsen. Of course, you would know her as Cindy Brady, and she is also an artist, a mother, Santa Clarita resident, a acting teacher at Vibe Performing Art Studios on Lyons Avenue in the Vincenzo's Shopping Center just east of the 5 freeway.
On the flip side of the coin, working with kids who want to do what she did.
Right.
And what a better reference, I couldn't imagine a better reference point than someone, I mean, there are a lot of teachers who teach kids acting, but you were there in the trenches day to day. I mean, you really know what they're getting into. And
I know how it feels, and I'm blessed or cursed with like total recall of my childhood. So I remember what things felt like, and how do you control yourself and stay professional. One of the first things I teach the kids is if you get a job, you got to remember this: children have to behave more adult than the adults, because if anything goes wrong on the set, you're the first one they'll blame.
Wow.
So it's like Florence Henderson could come in and deliberately ruin a scene just to make a funny blooper so that the next day in the dailies, everybody would get a laugh. And you can't do that when you're a kid.
And you do have
wasted time.
You do have a lot of pressure. Tracy Gold once said on our show that she was so happy when she was done with school because in addition to her 4 hours of work that she could put in, or however many hours she's booked for, then she has to go and do her homework, and the adults could go in their trailer, they could hang out.
Absolutely,
you had a lot on your plate.
Well. Now, we had a very nice teacher that if there was, like, say you had a crying scene or something that was mildly dramatic, normally with the regular scenes, it's like, in between takes, come on, let's get 10 minutes in, you have a math test. But at least if there was something that we really had to stay focused on, she was very cool and said, you just stay in your mood and we can do school later. But, look at somebody like Tracy Gold who just... so gifted and such a great dramatic actress, and I've seen it happen on sets. The kids crying her eyes out. It's like, okay, now you got to go
Scene's
do algebra.
Over. Bye-bye.
Yeah,
that's lunch. Thank you. Yeah.
Exactly. And the adults can stay in their rooms. And I remember Robert Reed had 2 dressing rooms, and he would play different classical pieces depending on what his mood was supposed to be.
Nice. Well, now you are working at a Vibe and teaching kids. How many classes are you teaching, or is there a particular age group you're working with?
Yes, and they'll kind of spill into, like sometimes if like I have a teen. Well, okay, let me start at the beginning. I have a beginners class, and it's ages 6 to 12. And then a professional kids class, which is the same age group, but kids that have had some experience either in the business or they've taken the beginning class. And then I have a teenage class. But sometimes we put younger kids in the teenage class if they've already been working and they're mature enough, because it gives them a little challenge too. So these are not hard and fast rules. In fact, I've got... I had one girl in my beginning class this session, and I said to her, "You're not a beginner, are you?" She goes, "Well, I've never taken a class before." And I said, "Well, if you can come to the 5 o'clock class, I would welcome you there because you're good enough." And she's like, "Well, it doesn't fit into our schedule." I'm like, "Okay, stay in the 4 o'clock."
And that's the thing is some people do have that ability. They've just got that natural...
innate talent.
I'm telling you, I've got a boy in my teenage class. I hope his parents are listening. the first class, I'm thinking, wow, the new Michael J. Fox. And I thought, well, he's a professional. I hope this class will challenge him enough. And at the end of it, his mom comes up to me and she says, well, how do you do? Do you think he can do this? I go, okay, so he doesn't have an agent? She's like, no, he's never done this.
Wow.
He just like woke up one day and said, I want to try acting. I said, I would have sworn he was a professional.
I love that you are taking your kismet karma because you were discovered, your siblings were discovered, and now you're sort of helping pass that torch by pointing out some kids like, okay, this one, and you're identifying them.
because we do have a showcase. Every other session, there will be a show. Every session has a showcase. And every other one has a showcase where we don't just invite the parents, but we have a couple of industry professionals. And, I can say, like, I've had a casting director friend of mine come in. I'll go, okay, take a look at this one and this one. It's funny because before I got started in this, a casting director friend of mine and myself would judge the talent show at our kids' elementary school. It's just this, a hobby thing. And we held auditions because we didn't want kids to get up there and make fools of themselves.
I told my daughter early on, not everything you do is cute.
Right, exactly. My son was like, so do you want me to be in the talent show? I'm like, no.
My daughter calls me the Simon Cowell of mothers, and she didn't mean it the first time, complimentary. But it's true. You have kids who really have talent, and they're watchable, and you want to nurture that.
Right.
And otherwise, it's like, let's find your other gifts.
And some of these poor kids, we're going to the auditions, and it's just like, oh gosh, I know the parents have just kind of dragged them here. Like, oh, you're going to perform on stage, and they're
dance
upset.
for grandma.
Yeah, but most of the time, I'd see somebody, I go, oh wow, they're great, because I was always hoping to, hey, I don't know that I have the power to do much. I mean, if I did, I'd probably give myself a job.
You're a giver, and you're helping give back.
Well, but almost every time, though, that I'd see somebody who was terrific, and we're talking talent show where it's not just acting, it's like, playing the violin or, dancing, and they'd always already have an agent. Uh-huh. And in fact, the last kid, it was 6th grade, so it was the last year of the talent show, I thought he was so good, and then I found out, okay, he has an agent. He came out here to pursue acting and whatever, because he was a martial arts, aficionado. But I told my manager, I'm like, you've got to get over here. This kid's got it. He's definitely got it. He's gorgeous. He's 12 years old. He's already got biceps, and he's a martial arts master, and that kind of discipline is fabulous.
Yeah.
I don't care if he can act. This kid could be a teen idol, and we could get him an interview with Dan Schneider and blah, 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 blah. And then I found out that, okay, he already had an agent. And you know what? He did a lot better. He's Taylor Lautner, Twilight movie. So I know how to pick him.
Yes.
And that kid, and a nice kid, and really professional and hardworking.
Awesome.
Outstanding.
So I have a good eye. I've picked out others, too.
Well, perfect. Yeah. We are speaking with Susan Olsen, also known as, I hate to say it, Cindy Brady. I mean, I hate to say it, but it's like, okay, the only thing that people know you for, but not necessarily, because you are such an iconic person in other areas too.
We're going to talk about some of that.
Some of your other areas, your web show with Robbie Rist and more. But we do have to take a break. This is the Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
I'm Tony String.
These are too much fun.
I'm gonna point out to the audience that can't see her. She had her headphones off for that, George.
This is the Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. That's T-Cats. I'm George Cummings. We're here with Susan Olsen of, among other things, the Brady Bunch, of course. But, and also instructor at Vibe Performing Arts Studios here in Santa Clarita, talking about some of your techniques that you're using as far as teaching and your thought process on that. And that's pretty interesting. We were talking off the air about a little bit about how kids are not that much different from adults when it comes to that, especially when it comes through in the talent and how you can actually direct them. You might have to skew the message just a little bit so that they kind of understand it, but in a lot of cases they take the same direction as adults, and in some cases better.
Absolutely.
They're a little more in touch with their selves than they...
Yes, and they're not quite so complicated with things like acting technique. Because I tell my students, when you're 18, you want to get into the weird psychological stuff, go ahead and do it. I'm never going to teach that.
Yeah.
I want to keep kids simple and keep them happy. And the minute, it's funny because it's very different now. When I was young, they didn't want us to go to class because they were so afraid that we would become unnatural. Nowadays, half of the auditions, they want the kids off book, which means they want the lines memorized. And sometimes they want, I don't know if they want proof of it, but they recommend that the kids study, that they actually get trained for the audition. And so it's really a very different world, and it's a lot more, there's much more pressure. There's far more competition. I mean, back in the 70s, my gosh, you saw so many kids on shows that were somebody's daughter or something that couldn't act their way out of a sack.
Machine.
And you don't see that anymore. All the kids are good. The standards are pretty high.
There's a lot of competition. You talked about parents who in some cases, they are the problem. And I know how that goes. I've mentioned this before, like even directing plays here in town with kids involved. You have the one parent who's sitting there the whole time. They drop their little schnookums off and they're in the audience, just been quiet. And about 3 weeks in, all of a sudden at the end of the rehearsal, they kind of, they motion you over. You got a second? I was thinking it would be great. And like, oh no, here we go, and that whole thing. So, that's the thing. And you're right about that. And it just depends. Sometimes they're manifesting their own, or living vicariously through.
Yeah.
So is there anything, is there a parents class?
That's so funny because when I first got started in this, several friends of mine said, there really should be a parents class. And maybe there should be, but I have to tell you, and I swear I'm not saying this to butter everybody up. I haven't had a nightmare parent at all. And maybe it's just our valley.
We do have an exceptional valley where people are a little more respectful.
We have very good parents. The kids are all very respectful. I've had some kind of problem kids, but I have not had any like stage mom monsters. What I have are just really good parents. And I have to say that the stage mother gets more of a bad rap than she deserves quite often because, let's not forget the Twilight Zone,
right?
Because the director will do anything to get the shot, and it is up to the parent to say, no, you don't put my kid under a helicopter.
Right.
Nobody's going to love your kid the way you do.
You're their best advocate.
Yes, and those parents, may get a bad rap, but they're doing all the right things. The kids that really floundered, like back in my day, their parents weren't around. They were just collecting paycheck. But and I also think that those who are more likely to, if you'll excuse the term, pimp and exploit their child, they're going off to Hollywood or, they're driving across town to take them to, what they think is closer to the business. So I think I'm lucky because I have Santa Clarita people and they're normal and they, all of them, I think, would like for their kids to work professionally, but they're also happy with them just... I have had parents bring their kids in just to help them over their shyness.
And that's a good thing. And I'll tell you, I've mentioned this before, we had some people who are now working at CBS who I've known since they were teenagers and even younger, because I've been in the theater community here for 20 years and seen these kids literally grow up and start out being kind of shy little going out there one-liners that they get and becoming phenomenal performers, and some who have gone to work on cruise ships and summer stock or working in the studios. That's funny. Ever Pabon, him and Leo were in here. He had posted. He was born in the late 80s. Here's the Brady Bunch bringing it back in. He posted something the other day about pork chops and applesauce. Of course, the famous scene where they're Peter trying to be someone different. Every season, one of you kids had to be someone different. And he said, "I'm researching something for work on food-related Brady Bunch episodes." And the people across I don't know what it was about, because I mentioned the one with Jan rubbing the lemon on her, and the other one of them, I don't remember if it was Greg or Marcia or Jan and Peter who worked in the ice cream parlor.
That was Marcia.
You started getting all these people across the generations coming up with different episodes, like they just knew them.
See, I like that because I like that connecting thing among people. When people connect over something really trivial and kind of silly, because I'm a huge I Love Lucy fan.
Oh, we could go on. Yeah. We could do another hour on I Love Lucy.
Right, no kidding.
And I can get together with people, who are into Lucy, and we'll just start doing. I like the
whole scenes. Whole scenes.
Oh, I used to go to the gym. I obviously don't anymore. And
she doesn't mean that.
They would have I Love Lucy on, but they didn't have the sound on. I didn't have headphones on me, and I'd be watching the thing going. I know all the lines.
Every line. Yeah, very nice. Well, I think there is something about, like you're talking about the relatability or people across the board. I think too a lot of it is it's really entertaining. What Lucy did was so entertaining, and it gave us an opportunity. Our lives get so hectic, and we get in such a state that we can tune into something like that, and suddenly there's a lightness, there's a brightness.
There's a release,
and,
yes.
And there's entertainment. The same thing with the Brady Bunch. When I was a kid, life might be tough, but I could always disappear into that, and there was a lightness, and it was entertaining.
Friday nights. We have to take just one more quick break. We are speaking with Susan Olsen of the Brady Bunch, and she's also an acting instructor here in Santa Clarita at the Vibe Performing Arts Studios. This is the Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. We'll be right back after this. What does it do? Oh, those are so much fun. I just can't get over them. I'm gonna put them all on a CD and take them home with me. This is the Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS.
I am T-Cat.
I'm George Cummings. We can just make the eyebrow motion to be able to.
Usually, yeah. He'll tell when he wants me to do
That's
things.
Good.
That way, in case I ever lose my arms, I could still.
You can
it might be a
still
little
signal.
tough running the board, but I'll work it out. And we're here with Susan Olsen, actress. Author, you did contribute to a book about the Brady Bunch Variety Hour, and I want to touch really quickly on some of those spin-offs.
Yeah.
A lot of people forget about the Brady Brides.
Well, yeah, and you mentioned something that was a point. I produced a special called Brady Bunch Home Movies, and it ended up being kind of a salute to the whole franchise. And one of the points that I wanted to get across that I don't think we really got across was it's the only show that has had so many different mediums, the cartoon, feature films, reunion shows, variety hour, record albums, concert tour, almost everything that could be done has been done.
Is there a Brady Bunch video game yet?
That's funny. There isn't, but Chris Knight was working in the gaming. Yes. He was working with computers and software, and he was trying to develop a Brady Bunch computer game. I don't know quite what happened with that, but probably he didn't get a whole lot of cooperation from Paramount. Yeah.
That's one of the sticky wickets, isn't it? That the holders of the franchise
the keys to the kingdom.
Yes.
There is a tapestry somewhere in an attic in Paramount that says, "Thou shalt do nothing that puts a dime in a Brady kid's pocket."
What?
You mentioned once that Tiger, the dog who played Tiger or whatever on the show, got more work than you did after the show was over.
He did great. He co-starred in a movie with Don Johnson called A Boy and His Dog.
I saw that movie.
See, there you go.
Tiger.
It's very iconic.
Tiger was working.
That is a definite 70s movie, though. I'm here to tell you, if you've ever seen it.
Check it out. Google it. He got fired from our show because they didn't think that he was quite up to snuff.
Well, he lasted longer than Fluffy the cat, though.
Yes, he did. And I think he was frustrated because we never gave him a speaking role. And he talks all through A Boy and His Dog. And he was also a regular on the Cher show, and she split from Sonny. She had her own show.
I remember that.
So he actually did very well.
And now
I want to vindicate him because the story goes that he was awful and he got fired. It's like, no, he did great.
He did a good job. But you guys all in kind of different ways. I know that in various forms, you come back around. It's almost like the boomerang. Like I mentioned, Brady Brides, and also the late 80s, early 90s with the Bradys, right? Now, were you involved? I know that there was the movie that came back around that you weren't involved with, Jennifer Runyon.
Yeah.
Is there a reason why you didn't do that?
Contractually, they only needed 5 out of 6 original kids, and I was going on my honeymoon, so it became a good excuse. So I became the sacrificial Brady.
I see.
It was financial. I'm not gonna gild the lily, but I didn't fight hard. I really kind of wanted to sit one out, and I really wanted to go to Jamaica.
I was going to say, did you have a good honeymoon?
I did, but I got back, and the only thing that had really bothered me was that that the whole cast was getting together, and I wasn't going to be a part of that reunion. So Maureen McCormick, bless her heart, she played Marcia. She said, Susie, and she's the only person that I allow to call me Susie.
Okay,
Good to know. Good to know, George.
Susie, when you get back from Jamaica, we have to all have dinner.
Oh.
So we did.
Oh, that's
So
nice.
that was very nice.
Now-
But
Go
you were
ahead.
involved in the. Did you come back around for the TV
For the Bradys,
series?
yes, which
but then Maureen McCormick wasn't involved in it, right?
Right, yeah.
But that was kind of the one that it got a little bit dark because Marcia had the alcohol problem and
Yeah.
Bobby got in the car accident with the and might not walk again. It was so much drama.
So much drama, and everything gets resolved in an hour. That was
amazing.
its failing. It
Oh, if
was
only
just too
life were that
vapid.
way.
Well, and I don't think anybody really even wants to see life be that way. If
Right.
you have, simple problems, for kids that are resolved in a half hour, that's fine. But when you take on something as serious as alcoholism, you don't tie it up in a pretty little bow
No,
because
you
it's
sure don't.
offensive. You
Yeah.
know. So I was on this thing. I was like, I wish it would work, but it.
Now-
I knew it was a turkey. when we were
You
doing
are
it.
one of the child actors who came through on the other side with really, a pretty good glow. And one of the other actors we had the good fortune to speak to was Robbie Rist, who was cousin Oliver. Also came out on the other side. One of the most positive, energetic, really has a great feel about him as a human being. And you get to work with him again.
Yes, we remain
about
friends.
that.
In fact, I was in his first band for about a day. He's been a musician.
You already said you were the Brady who didn't sing, didn't you say so?
Well, yeah, but I am musical, but just not the kind of music that we did on
Right.
the variety show.
Aha.
Yeah, I'm
If
kind
there
of a
was life
headbanger.
past 1972, really.
But so you stayed friends. You
Stayed friends, and off and on, and I have a partner. I do a radio show. A web radio show on
which I love the name of.
Two Chicks Talking Politics. It's on Monday nights on latalkradio.com, and my partner on that is Sheena Metal, and she and I actually started at KLSX, but at different times, and so she's been doing radio forever. So she's my partner on that. She's worked with Robbie Rist forever. So I saw an opportunity at something called battlecam.com, and I said, I would like to work with two of my favorite people in the world.
Nice.
And Sheena Metal and Robbie Rist. And so we're just launching it. We're just kind of trying to feel out what this is going to be. It's all very, very new, very experimental. It's web broadcasting. The official site is liveon.tv. And the interesting thing is that there's a chat room going on at all times. So it's interactive. And the chat room's just chock full of trolls.
Outstanding.
And
Yes.
Sheena is a large girl and one of the smartest, best people I know. But she's very big. And it's like, okay, let the fat jokes come. Eventually they're going to get tired of them. But
They'll go away.
Yeah, but Sheena is a stand-up comic, and I've never seen anybody off the cuff handle things so well. In fact, yesterday we were doing our show, and people are coming and going, "Wow, do you write for comedians, or do you really think that stuff off the top of your head?" And she's like, "Well, I've been large all my life." So I've learned how to deal with it.
Well, that's trolls, by the way, for the uninitiated, are people who just seem to have nothing better to do than say really
They
nasty
live
things
in their
the gifts.
basement, and when they're not playing World of Warcraft, they're trolling us.
They're under the bridge. Billy
usually
Goat's gruff.
making uninformed, out of context, and baseless opinions. If that
It's
works.
very easy to have a lot of moxie when you're at a keyboard and nobody can see you.
You're anonymous.
And, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, the
I can tell you-
power.
I'll tell you stories off the air about experiences that we've had. Time to take a break. Actually, just a real quick one.
12:50.
Time to change, right?
Uh-huh.
You're about to say that, I know.
and I left that out of the loop too. I really thought about it. But I thought, no, I won't. I'll be nice.
You knew it would make me vomit. Thank you.
Then I would I'd be listening.
Merciful.
It would be stuck in my head for the entire. It's going to be stuck in my head for the entire weekend. Now I'll be like, oh, Susan Olsen. Anyway, but we'll be right back after this. The Friday Matinee on your hometown station, AM 1220 KHTS. Is that just fun or what? See?
I can identify what season that is,
What
too.
season is that one?
That is the first season. The music was much more overwhelming, and
it wasn't quite as groovy. Like even the closing theme was more like with the horns and everything, and then the second season with the keyboards and everything like that.
Do not change your dial. You are not in the Brady Bunch hour. You are at the Friday matinee here at AM Top 20 KHTS. I'm T. Katz.
I'm George Cummings, and we're here with Susan Olsen.
Who's enduring all your
really quickly though. I
Brady.
mean, you couldn't have possibly imagined, because hard to believe the show ended 40 years ago. I mean, for all of us trying to kind of figure out that, but probably when that ended, it was more like, okay, because you were like 13 years old-ish around there.
Yeah, 12 and a half.
A young teenager, I should say. I don't want to give away your age, but
that's okay. Everybody can figure it out. I'll never be able to lie about it.
Was it okay? This is a relief. I'm going to go to school and be that, or was it I'm hoping to get other work? And could you have possibly imagined that it would have snowballed into what it's become? This kind of phenomenon with conventions and people writing on our Facebook page that my grandchildren watch this show. You know,
did you see that?
And
coming?
I think it's good for the grandkids. You know, I hate to sound all Mary Poppins, but I wish, all the kids shows today, the parents are either missing or they're buffoons. And this is something that the parents and kids can watch together, and everybody can learn something.
It was a very yummy show.
Yeah, and I at the time when I was a kid, though, I was like, I'd rather be on the Partridge Family because they're cooler. But I wasn't surprised at all that it snowballed. But when it ended, I almost feel responsible because I wanted it to end.
Oh, really?
I really didn't want that very special episode of Cindy getting her first period or her first kiss or first bra. It's hard enough to go through your awkward age.
On
period,
camera.
But when you do it on camera, it's just miserable.
That could have been the 75 season. Cindy becomes a woman.
Well, and so that's why
it's me, Cindy.
I welcomed our little shark jumper. Whenever a show is starting to tank, they add the new kid. So Robbie, I loved Robbie from day one.
He took pressure off of you too.
He did. And I was like, okay, good, because I knew they didn't know what the heck to do with me, and I was getting ugly. I was going through a really awkward stage. I had braces. My nose was growing at an alarming rate.
I grew up with you in my bedroom. I had a little 6-inch television set, and I have to tell you, you were fabulous. You raised the bar very high. There was nothing wrong with you. You might have felt that way, but I'm going to tell you, because you and I were very close in age. We graduated from the same high school, close to one another. You were a huge part of like my existence and my barometer for what I saw in the mirror, and you handled it beautifully, and you rocked. So I'm going to stop that now.
So you didn't lose faith in Cindy when she's 12 years old and wants to be the next Shirley Temple?
No, because
speaking of shark jumpers,
there was nothing about it that was. I knew kids in school who wanted to do other things. While it might have been a little over the top, it's like, you know what? But she's Cindy. I grew up with her. I watched her, and I'm going to fight for her, and I'll cut anyone who says differently. You were good.
That last season had a few. I mean, you did have Robbie, who interestingly enough was also in Sharknado. But I would say the real shark jumper on that happened right at the very end with the dyeing Greg's hair orange and the rabbits and the whole.
That was our very last.
And that was the one that Robert Reed refused to be in.
Yes.
And what a send off.
And I remember very well shooting. I'm not sure if it was the last scene of the entire show, but I know it was my last scene. And Bob was standing there with his arms folded because he was on the set, but he wasn't performing.
Out, but I'm going to show up just to stick it in video.
And my mom had said, "Don't, he's in a really bad mood, but he's not mad at you, okay? So just kind of avoid him." And so we were doing the scene with the rabbits and Robbie and Mike Lookinland and me, and I remember thinking, this is the last scene of the Brady Bunch that I'm ever going to do.
Wow.
Because I knew, Eve Plum's mother used to come up to me and go, are we going to get picked up? Because she believed that I was psychic. And I'd always say, yes, we are. And then this year she said, are we going to get picked up? I said, no. Okay. I said, if we do, it'll be for 2 years, but I don't think we will. And she goes, oh, poo. She was such an adorable woman. Oh, poo. And Sherwood Schwartz, the creator of the show, was walking by and he goes, what's the matter? And she goes, well, Susie says that we're not going to get picked up. And he goes, well, don't believe her. I'm in negotiations right now and we're building sets and, but he had taught me, don't get your hopes up because anything could happen, because they did have a party on the set of Gilligan's Island that he created because they thought they were getting picked up and they got canceled.
That was William Paley who realized that they were canceling Gunsmoke, and that was his favorite show. That's the story.
I did 2 episodes of that.
That's what Andrea was saying. We want to talk really quickly though about pop art and fluff.
And if people want to learn more about you beyond the Cindy Brady and all the wonderful things you're involved with, where do they go?
Well, I don't have my official website up just yet because I'm really lazy. But
no,
you can go on Facebook.
You're really busy.
You go on Facebook, and I do have a like page that I don't go to very often. I have another page, but unless you're friends with another friend of mine, you're probably not going to find me. But here's pages where you can find me. Susan Olsen, there's a like page. There's also The Art of Rescue, which is my art page for art that I do to help animal rescue. And then there's also Fluff Art, and that's my pop art that I do. It's all based on the marshmallow topping fluff, which we don't get in California. You have to go to Cost Plus Imports because they import it all the way from Massachusetts.
Wow. It's almost foreign.
And I won't go into how or why, but it was my nickname. And then my friends in Ohio sent me a jar of fluff, and so that became like my personal icon on MySpace.
You're Alfred E. Newman, so
well, to speak. Yeah, because on MySpace, which I still miss because I'm old school, you could. I'm a graphic artist, so you could design a page, and so every month I designed it like it was a magazine cover, and the jar of fluff was my Alfred E. Newman. So I've got fluff, and like album covers. I've got the Mona Lisa holding a jar of fluff with fluff on her mouth.
I definitely.
And then I found out that there was a What the Fluff festival in Somerville, Massachusetts. So I debuted my fluff art there.
Nice.
And sold some. I had a little gallery show.
Oh, very
wow,
nice.
That's a stroke of luck. That's excellent.
So that's terrific. So we can find you. I get really quickly. How often do you talk to the other cast members, or aside from Robbie Rist?
Well, we have been doing some of those autograph shows because they're not the walk of shame that they used to be. Everybody's doing them now because the economy is so bad. I met Malcolm McDowell at my first one. I thought,
nice.
Okay, if he's not too cool for this, then I'm not too cool for this. It's not something I really like to do a lot of, but we have, and usually we donate a portion of the proceeds to the animal rescue group that I volunteer for, which is Precious Paws. That's right, folks. It's preciouspaws.org. And if you have any nasty money laying around that you just don't know what to do with, kibble doesn't grow on trees.
That's right.
We rescue mostly cats and some dogs.
Susan Olsen, thank you so much.
A total
She teaches acting at Vibe Performing Arts Studio. This is KHTS Candy Country Santa Clarita. It's 1:00.